All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nathaniel, and we'll be solving the box node. All right, so okay, I'm recording now. One of the issues I had with this box was a pretty difficult box for me, and one of the reasons why it was difficult was because I was having a whole lot of roadblocks in trying to solve this box. Everywhere I went was one roadblock or the other. After doing a little bit of research, I found an easier way to solve probably every single box I might be able to find somewhere in the future, right? So, and it's not against OSCP rules, or something that I probably should have looked at after doing quite a number of research. And as we move forward, we'll probably see if we could use the same technique every single time we get any box at all. Now, let's look at one of two things over here. Now we're in our desktop hack the box and node directory. I've already done nmap scan. I'm just going to run through what I did. So we did an nmap scan dash. Now again, before we move on, one of the few things that we've done here is, give me a second, and all right. So Now, one of the few things that we've done so far is build up a whole methodology as we move on, right? For in the first box we did was when I first showed you my OSCP preparation plan, and we moved on. We started with the bashed box, right? Now the bashed box, one of the few things we did was an nmap scan and a directory enumeration or web server enumeration using GoBuster, right? The next one we did was nmap scan, search exploit, and so nmap scan, the GoBuster enumeration, and search exploit. Now, so we did three things, and we made mention of it in both the nibble box and the sense box, right? Now, there's even more things we even need to do to even route many of these boxes even more. Now we can even go further. Even if we don't get any information, just do the four things, right? Nmap scan, search exploit, GoBuster, and further enumerating target using nmap von script to try and figure out, using the IP address, what known vulnerabilities exist within this particular machine, right? So now that is something else I just wanted to put out there. Okay, so what else do we need to do? Now we are in our hack the box node directory, and I'm just going to go through with you the nmap scan. I've already done it already. I'm just going to output the file later on. Now, in doing the nmap scan, we did, of course, dash sv, which is one SV is default script, running default script, and sc running default script, and sv would basically run for us version scanning. And then we have when we have dash v2, very verbose, basically telling us that, hey, we're going to be running, I want you to sort of bring forth on the outside what is going on in the background. And dash T4 is basically helps the nmap scan run the enumeration process between accuracy and speed, right? This is sweet spot in enumerating targets. And then we give it our IP address, right? And the output, we put it into our node.txt file, right? Okay, so that's what we did. Now, from there, so we have a node.txt file. So I already have a bunch of files over here, and I may just remove them so that we can just start afresh. Back up the zip, and then we can do var, and we can do, okay, let's just leave my place over there. All right, okay, so I think we have that. All right, so now let's go further a little bit. Now I'm not going to show you how I was banging my head all over the place. I'm just going to get right into it. All right. Now, after doing the nmap scan, I went, then let's look at the output in here. Now, with a few things we saw here, we saw port 22 open running SSH, and we saw port 3000 open also running Apache Hadoop. Right, so which means this is probably a web server, and we'll test it out by simply going here and then running it over here, right, and then pressing enter. Now, one thing we notice is that here it just keeps running, nothing happens. Now, this is because our HTTP, our web server generally runs on port 80, right, but this time it's running on port 3000. So what we need to do is come here and give it port 3000 so that it knows what to go to, and then we give it port 3000, and then we're able to have a login page, right? Now we have to examine again, we have to do full body enumeration, right? So while let's run our Go Buster, and while we are running, actually I'm just going to do the Buster actually, because so we're going to do the Buster, and then we're going to come here and start enumerating, reviewing our source code. So we can come here, copy, right, and bring our target over here and paste with the 100, and then look for what word list we're trying to use. Share, look for the word list. And then come here and then select it and probably make it a little bit more detailed, and then from there you do start, right? So one of the issues, so when we got the response back, we got an error here, right? But what's this? What's this? Okay. So one thing we see here is we see a hash over here, which may be what is stopping us from being able to get some of the few things we need over here. I wonder why that is. Just probably have to run that all over again to correct that. But before we go on, it gave us an error. So this may not necessarily be useful to us. Then let's go into the view source page, and then so over here I've checked everything. So the only thing that kind of made sense to us, let's open our notes, please, so we can paste what we need over here. Now, one of the few things that made sense to us here was /home, /admin, and /login. So we go into /home, we see an API user latest. Right, so this is something that we can go into. Now this took me a while to actually find out, right? Which it shouldn't, right? Again, then we went into login, and then we see API session authenticate. Copy, something that looks useful to us. Come here, and then we go into admin, and then we see a few things over here in the admin. API users. Of course, you always want to check admin anytime you see admin, right? And then we go back, and then we look at profile. API users, okay, we have that already. And that's that. And then we go into freelance, nothing. Okay. All right, so that's what we have here. Now, these are very interesting stuff over here, right? Now, again, we have 4 things. So the first thing we've done is our Nmap scan. Now, we've also ran our Go Buster and we got an error. Now, the next thing we did, next thing we need to do is run search exploit to see if they are probably more known expert over here. So we will run our search exploit and we'll go into node. Now, there's a whole bunch of possible exploitations over here, and there's so many of them, right? So we don't know which to use or which not to use, right? Now, so we need to narrow down our scan by maybe giving a version number or something that could possibly help us narrow down what we need to do, right? Okay, now we'll come back to this later on. So, but anyways, we are here with the Buster and we give us an error. So let's just cancel out of that real quick. All right, now we're here. Now that's the third thing, right? So we've done the Buster search and give us an error, and we come in here, and so we have one more thing to do. So we're going to do our Nmap von test, and we're going to do 10.129. What's our IP address? 10.129.37.187, and then we'll run our script over here, right? So we'll wait for the output to come up. So, but over here, while that is running, let's look at this possible directories over here that we may be able to see something to do here. So now we come here and then we see users here, right? we see Tom and the password and the password hash. We see ID, Mark, a password and its hash. We see Rastatin. Again, I'm sorry, the guy had dreads, so I tried to pull that off. It's terrible. That didn't work out, and API authenticate. Again, just brought us back to the initial page. Just take this out. Yeah, the original page, and then we have API users. So this is the last thing we have over here. And okay. Oh, wow. And we have a whole bunch of stuff over here. So let's come down here and then we'll copy this entire thing. See what we may be able to do with this. Copy and then paste. All right, so we have a whole bunch of stuff here. So now we can go back here, and so we already now have an admin page and the password hash. So what do? Now we can go to Google and look for I think it's crackstation.net. Actually, I think it's crack, or we can just type hash crack. Right, we'll go hash crack and we see crackstation.net, and then we can put in a whole bunch of hash to see if the passwords, because it looks like the password was encrypted. Oh, and then we come here. Copy. Paste. Come here. Copy, paste, then we'll come here, copy, paste, then we run our stuff, and we see what we get. So we get a whole bunch of username, so we get a whole bunch of password. For admin, we see Manchester. For Tom, we see SpongeBob, and for Mark, we see Snowflake, and for Rastatin, I don't know, we see not found, right? So now we can come over here and go into the login page again. Let's view what's going on here. It just brings us back to that page. All right, so we have a login page over here, right? So now we can come here and go into admin account, copy and paste it, and our password over here is Manchester. So we can come here and do Manchester and then log into it. So after logging into it, we're able to get access to it, and we see a folder known as download backup. Right now we've already downloaded the backup, and I already moved it into a hack the box file over here. So now when I did file and backup, sorry, ls. Oh, okay. So when I did file and my backup, I couldn't figure out what kind of file it was, and I did my place just to figure out what it is. Now over here we can see a whole bunch of encryption over here, almost like this is pretty easy to see that this is a base 64 encryption over here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a base 64 the code, that's -d. Oh man, sorry, base 64, and then we specify the file, and we direct the output of that file into actually let's even look at what, okay, actually let's direct input into this, right? And we direct whatever input we have in here, and then we do cat backup.zip, and then we see a whole bunch of stuff over here, right? Okay, so now we noticed that in this backup file, right, in the midst of all the whole obfuscation going on, it did show some few things, that there's a backup file for the root directories and its contents. So there's a whole bunch of data that are possible exploitations for us to move around with, right? Now there's a whole bunch of stuff for us to go around with to try and figure out what exactly we need to exploit within this system. This is a lot of stuff, right? So we need to ignore this. We need to find another way to kind of work our way around this. Now, this is really good because when you have this amount of information, right? Because the way the TGNOS, I love the way the TGNOS list does a lot of stuff. It teaches us on so many things. It goes into certain database, right? It goes into the backup file like this, right? It goes into so many other things. Just the way he puts out the list, he put it in such a way that easy, hard, then easy, then super hard, then easy all the way, then really, really hard, right? Almost like he's like, hey, he recognizes that people kind of gain joy from actually rooting the box, and it's kind of really nice. But again, the way he created the whole list, he's given us different possible scenarios that we could possibly find in a real world scenario and also in the OSCP exam, which is why TGNOS list is just a great starting point in preparation for the OSCP exam. Now, so we can see a whole bunch of directories over here, that a whole bunch of paths and directories and backup files and data that we could really manipulate over here. Now, but we would like to actually examine them and go into them on a later and actually like to go into them. Now, when we do ls over here, we can see that when we do like a file and we do backup on it, we can see this is a zip file. So when we try to unzip it, right, we can see it's requiring a password. Right, let's clear this off. Just specify alias real quick, and then we'll clear this off. So it's requiring a password. So one of the ways we can use fcrack zip. Let's look at some of the options that we can use with fcrack zip dash help. Let's look at some of the options we can use. Now we can use few of these options. -B brute force, use the brute force algorithm, and then -D the dictionary we're going to be using. And then if we come down here, we can also specify very verbose again, as all just verbose, I mean. And we also have -U to unzip or to weed out wrong password, so we don't have to get weird what's it called, outputs out that could confuse us. And then we have -M use method number num. And so basically this is what we're going to be using. There's no need to use this, we don't limit ourselves. And -P using initial, which is like use string as initial password / file, which is backup, which makes no sense. Backup basically to use it to see if that will work. Anyways, it may or may not work, but let's look at what we have. So we're going to do the crack zip, and then we're going to give it start with -B. All right, so now we're going to use -B -D -U for use unzip to weed out wrong password, and -P to use string as initial password or /file. Then we specify the word list we're going to use. We're using roq.text, and then specify the file we're trying to get the password for. Then we're able to get the password over here, pwd magic word over here. And then so next time when we try to unzip the file, right, and we can then specify the magic word. So we have magic word. So we are able to get a whole bunch of information and data from here. All right, so ls, then we can see here it brought it out over here. So we can cd into var, then we'll ls, and then cd into www, then ls, and then we cd into my place, and then we ls. All right, clear. Oops, no, actually negative. All right, now I've checked all these files over here. One of the things that stand out to me after checking most of these files was the app.js over here, right? So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to do cat and app.js here, and we're going to move up over here. Now, one of the few things we see here was some information here. Now we can see Mark, most likely database is running MongoDB, and we can see Mark here, and then we can see our his login details, his passwords. Again, and this is again the backup hash key that we could possibly use, or the backup key, I'm sorry. Oops, nope, negative. Okay, paste. All right, so now we can come down here and SSH back into this, right? Now don't forget, when we did the Nmap scan, we saw two ports open, the 3000 and port 22, which was SSH. So now we can SSH here into Mark, and it's going to require us to give it the password. So we can come here, since we have the password over here, and copy it and paste it over here, right? And it gives us, and we're able to get into this here, into Mark over here. Now when we do ID, yeah, we see that we're Mark, and then we do ls. Okay, let's just go back a little bit and we see what users there. We see Frank, Mark, and Tom, right? So let's cd into Tom, and then we'll do ls here. Then we can cat the user the txt. Now we see that the permission here is denied, right? So now I tried to get the enumeration script that I usually use, the enum, in here to enumerate it, but I couldn't do it here because it didn't give me the permission. So what I had to do was I had to cd into /temp, and I had to run my enumeration script over here. Now if you see that here, you can see that I already moved in the file over here, but I'm gonna do it anyways. So I did we get 10.10.14.70 okay, and I specified what port I was trying to run, and then slash the name of the file, lean enum.sh, and then I came over here and did ls, going to cd into desktop and go into priv and do ls. So when I did that, I basically spinned up my my server using Python, and then I came here, and then I went ahead and downloaded the file and over here. Then once the file got there and I downloaded it, then I did change mod to give it executive privilege, and I did that for the script. Now what I then did afterwards was that I ran the script .sh, and it went through the enumeration process, right? So let's just come up here and let's read through. Now in reading through the whole thing, now there are a few things I saw here, right? So now if we look here, we can see the kernel information and kernel information. You see Linux version 4.4.0 this, right? Now I don't know, they may, now this is where I was able to get some of my kernel, this is why I was able to get my kernel exploit. So I came here and I went to search exploit, right? Search exploit, instead of me doing node, I went down and I did the kernel exploit and see if there was a result. There was no result, right? So I came back here and I did just see if I could do Linux. Oh, of course, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I shouldn't have done that. That's crazy. All right, let me clear this out. And we'll do it again and just do it with the version. See what we find here. No. All right, so we're able to find a whole bunch of kernel exploit that we could do. But now one of the things that's going to stand out to us, since we can transfer files into there, we can then look at this over here, the local privilege escalation exploit script over here. So I copied this, right? Now this is what you'll find here. So we'll cd into desktop and going to do ls. All right, nope, ls. Now this Linux kernel exploit.c is this file over here. I just changed the name because it helps me out, local privilege escalation, right? Now it's yeah, that's what it says, but it's more of a Linux exploit, and that's what I used for that file. So what I then did was, since I was here, I just said, you know what, if I can't output the file because I don't have permission on there, I definitely know that I can definitely go ahead to export that file by having root. If I have root on that machine, I can definitely go through any possible file in there, right? So that's one of the few things I was trying to do. So I ran my Python, my server over here. I think there's one server open, running right now. Cancel. So I ran my Python server, and I then transferred the file into the platform. Yeah, into this, right? Okay. Into this. Now, there are other ways to look at the information, looking at the services and see what kind of services it's using. I kind of looked some information, some walkthroughs. I saw that a lot of people decided to use the scheduler to kind of get a reversal on there. Now, that's one way you can do that. But again, this is another quick and easy way to go about solving this bugs. And in later videos, you're going to see me use this method almost all the time, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. So from here, I'm in my temp folder, and if I do the ls, I already done wget again, and then specify it, and then specify 10.10.14.0, and then port, I think is 8000. And then name of the file, which was this Linux kernel, put it there, and then it moves the file in here. Now, what I then did was I then tried to compile that particular file, right? So I did gcc to compile it, and then Linux, this is the file over here. Now, I've already done this before, so that's why I'm not gonna try and repeat it. I'm doing it over here, and then -0, and then I did SAM to kind of help me compile it in such a way that I'll be able to run it as a binary. So it then compiled the entire file into SAM, which is what you see here, and then I'm going to run SAM, right? So when I clicked enter, it then created this SAM as a binary for me. So then I'm able to then come here and then do SAM, right, and then run it over here. Now, if you notice, it spawned the root shell for me. Now you can see that I'm root on this particular box. So now I can cd into root, right, and do ls, right, and then cd into root, /root, right. I think we also did the von real quick. Yes, I think, okay, whatever. All right, so it's root /root.txt. Excuse me, and just do cat, so I can just cat out the file. All right, so then we can see our first flag over here. Now, another thing that I can do is go to home /tom /user.txt. Initially we couldn't go into that file, and send into home. Come on, man. Send it to Tom, and then cat. Oh, my bad. Cat user.txt. I suppose just cat. And then we have our flag over here. And then we have the root flag and the user flag. That is how I was able to compromise this box very, very quickly without having to do some of those wild stuff I was seeing. Again, I actually, when I was solving the boxes, I had to do some of those things and bang my head around it. But then I just found out that there's easier way to go about this process, and we'll probably be testing this method out in every other box to see if it may at least solve. Let's see if you can solve 20 to 30% of the boxes, or even 60% of the boxes. We're good to go, right? So, we can do that. Now, I hope this video has been very informative, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy hunting. Bye.